Hello everyone, my name is UltimoFive, and today we are going over the Tenet Envoy, the Resistance's RPG. The Tenet Envoy is a rocket launcher capable of shooting rockets that can be redirected with aiming and is obtained by either vanquishing a sister Parvos or trading from a player's sister that they already conquered. The Tenet Envoy has a max rank of 40. In order to obtain this level, the player must form the weapon at least 5 times. Due to this feature, the player gains a total of 4,000 mastery points rather than 3,000. However, the builds in this guide only require 4 forma. The Tenet Envoy excels in medium to long range combat, dealing with high leveled enemies of all factions and small to extremely large crowds. With this weapon, the player gets an option of having a bonus Tenet element, which caps at 60% based off the progenitor Warframe you choose to spawn the sister of Parvos. My recommended Tenet element would be Toxin. Advantages for the weapon would be that it has a high critical chance, a high critical multiplier, shots do not arc, aiming will allow any fired projectiles to be guided via the aiming reticle, and upon impact the rocket will explode in an 8-meter radius. Disadvantages, however, for the weapon would be that it has a very slow reload speed, a very low fire rate, has linear damage fall off, explosions inflict self-stagger, and a very slow projectile speed. The elements for the Tenet Envoy against a Corpus would be Radiation and Viral. Radiation causes enemies to attack each other while dealing 100% additional damage to the allied for 12 seconds. Meanwhile, Viral amplifies health damage by 100% for 6 seconds and stacks up to 10 times for a total of 325%. The build's flex slot is Hammer Shot and is great. Although it still has a bit of trouble against those in the Index and Oxium Ospreys, it still completely obliterates the rest of the faction in a rocket or two. The element for the Tenet Envoy against a Corrupting Grineer would be Viral. The build's flex slot is Hammer Shot and is pretty good. Due to the percentage chance of getting slash procs, the weapon can be a bit slow against a Corrupting Grineer. However, it still can easily deal with them in just a couple rockets, especially in large groups. The elements for the Tenet Envoy against the Infested would be Gas or Viral and Heat. Gas deals 50% base damage per second for 6 seconds in a 3-meter radius and stacks up to 10 times for a total of 6 meters. Meanwhile, Heat deals 50% base damage per second over 6 seconds while stripping up to 50% armor and causes targets to panic. The build's flex slot is Hammer Shot and is just great. Viral Heat is there for those who are going to be dealing with more high-tiered infested enemies such as Boilers and Ancients. However, Gas can still deal with them pretty well if they group up a lot. Galvanized Chamber. In place of Split Chamber if you have access to the mod through Arbitration and want to take the weapon's damage to the next level. Cryo Rounds and Bane mods, in place of their primed counterparts if you don't have them. Speed Trigger or Vial Acceleration, in place of Hammer Shot if you want a faster fire rate and are okay with sacrificing status chance and critical damage. Point Strike, in place of Critical Delay if you don't want the negative fire rate and are okay with losing a bit of critical chance. Heavy Caliber, in place of Prime Bane of Grineer or Corrupted if you don't like using faction mods. And Fast Hands, in place of Hammer Shot if you really don't like the reload speed of the weapon. There are several ways to enhance critical stats, damage, and utility for this weapon. For instance, for damage, Rhino's Roar, Nova's Molecular Prime, which makes all sources of damage increase by 100% against primed enemies, Mirage's Eclipse mixed with her Hall of Mirrors has a massive damage bonus during the day or in light, Saren's Toxic Lash mixed with her Spores abilities, Equinox's Rest and Rage in day form makes targets more vulnerable to damage, Wisp's Haste Reservoir, which bolsters fire rate and turn increasing DPS, Banshee's Sonar, which gives a huge damage multiplier, and Chroma's Vex Armor, when health gets damage increases weapon damage. For critical stats, Harrow's Covenant can add up to 50% critical chance and 200% on headshots. Volt's Electric Shield when shot through adds a 200% critical damage multiplier, Zephyr's passive increases critical chance by 150% while airborne, the Adarza Kavat with Cat's Eye can give a 60% critical chance boost, and Smita Kavat with Charm can give a 200% crit chance. For utility, Goss's Red Line grants a fire rate and reload speed buff. Chroma's Elemental Ward when in Toxin alignment grants a reload speed and holstering speed buff. And Volt Speed, which grants a reload speed buff. Arcane Avenger, upon being damaged, 21% chance for 45% critical chance for 12 seconds. Arcane Primary Charger, on melee kill 30% chance for 300% damage of primary weapons for 12 seconds. Arcane Arachne, on wall latch 150% damage for 30 seconds. And Primary Merciless, on kill 30% damage for 4 seconds, which stacks up to 4 times and comes with 30% reload speed and 100% max ammo. This arcane I would say is more beneficial to the Tenet Envoy due to its slow reload speed and low ammo capacity. When you get your hands on a Riven for this weapon, the flex slot to replace will be Hammer Shot. This can require one more forma, and in order to maximize damage output with the Tenet Envoy, one will need to get lucky and get some nice stats. These ideal stats would be damage, critical chance, critical damage, and negative zoom or weapon recoil. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more guides on Warframe, please click the like and sub buttons to let me know. And as per usual, I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.